Hello and welcome everybody to the start of a new series. So this series is called Beginning C++. So this series is intended completely for beginners who have not touched coding at all. So by the end of this series, I hope you actually gain the confidence and the skill to write C++ programs on your own independently to solve automation problems, mathematics problems, or computer science problems. So without further ado, let's get started. So in this particular video, I will be teaching you the basic structure of a C++ program, as well as how to print hello world to the screen. So essentially, to print hello world to the screen, all you need is to type these few lines of code. It might look a bit intimidating, but fear not, I will explain line by line. So the first line, as you can see, we have a hashtag include IOStream. So essentially what we're doing is that we are telling C++ that, hey, I want to include this library. So you know how libraries in real life contain a lot of books, and books contain a lot of knowledge, right? And all this knowledge, you can actually apply them in your own real life, in your own projects. So in the same way, I want to apply the functions in the IOStream library, such as the input function, such as the output function. I want to use these two functions and apply them in my own program. So essentially, what we are telling C++ is that, hey, I want to use the input function in my own program. I want to use the output function in my own program, so as to output hello world to the screen. So without including this library, this program wouldn't work because C++ wouldn't know that we want to use the output function. Next, we have in main 2 parentheses and 1 curly brace. This is usually marked as the entry point of the program. So when you want to execute a program, right, C++ will actually scan through the whole program and look for this particular function. So this is actually called a function, the main function. So as its name implies, this is the primary function where the bulk of your code should be in, because this is where your program will start executing from. And any code that you want to execute must be encapsulated between the 2 curly braces. Okay, so in this case, because we want to output hello world to the screen, right? So what we do is we do standard double colon cout hello world. So the syntax might look a bit weird, but over time you will get used to it. Yeah. So as you can see, the hello world is surrounded by 2 double quotation marks, and this hello world, right, will be the actual thing, will be the actual string that we will be outputting to the screen. std double colon cout simply tells C++ that, hey, I want to output this particular string. In this case, I want to output hello world to the screen. And just to add on, this std cout is actually included from the IOStream library. Yeah. So without including this IOStream library at the top of the line, at the top of the program, we wouldn't have been able to use std cout in our own program, and we wouldn't have been able to output hello world to the screen. That's why the first line is very, very, very important. So as I've said, everything, all the code that you want to execute in your C++ program must be encapsulated between the 2 curly braces, because everything must be encapsulated, must be contained within this main function, because this main function is where the bulk of your code should be. Also, you can output other stuff. You don't necessarily have to output hello world. You can actually output hello YouTube or something like that. So now, enough theoretical explanation. Now let's get hands-on and actually try writing some code. So usually what I recommend is using Replit. So Replit is a platform that is an interactive platform that allows you to run your code. So if you don't have an account, I'll recommend you to create an account and to use this platform. Yeah. So I already have an account. So to use this Replit, right, what we need to do is we need to create a new repository. So how we do it is we actually press this thing and we press create. So this is actually how we create a Replit. And because we want the thing to be in C++, and let's give this a name. I'm going to call this YouTube1. Create Replit. So as you can see, it has already generated some template code, but what I would recommend is to get rid of everything and practice, because this will help you in the long run. This will help you build up your muscle memory. So the first thing we need to do, as usual, is that we need to include library. Okay. Oh, by the way, if you don't know what's this is what we call a comment, which will not be executed by the compiler at all. It's like your own notes, like how you take notes during class, right? You add your own notes onto your class notes. This is like something like that, where you add your own notes, your own documentation. But none of this will actually be executed by the compiler. So how you actually write a comment is you actually start with 2 double slashes. Yeah. So first we need to include the library, right? And because we want to output hello world, and to output we will actually need, to get the output function, we will actually need the IO stream library. So the syntax for including a library is that we need a hashtag, and then we need an include to tell C++ that, hey, I want to include this particular library. Yeah. So, following which, I will need an in main function. Remember, like I said, every C++ program must have an in main function. So this, you can't run away from this. You need to have this function. And remember, the code that we want to execute must be between these 2 curly braces. So I can actually write it here. I can write all my code here. I can write it here. Or I can also write it here. So usually what I do is actually write in the center. Okay. So that it looks a bit more organized. And remember, our objective is to output hello world. And the function for us to output hello world is std, okay, which stands for standard, not sexually transmitted diseases, and then double colon cout. Okay, this is actually pronounced cout, like C, the C from C++, and out, which stands for output. And then you need the 2 arrows. Okay, I know it's a bit weird, but just bear with me. And then we need a double quotation mark, hello world. And remember, every statement must end with a semicolon. Okay, except for the library. So the libraries, whenever you're including libraries, whenever you're importing libraries, you don't need semicolon. It's only when you're writing code to be executed, then you need a semicolon. So now if I were to actually run my code, I will actually see hello world on the screen. So boom, congratulations, you just wrote your very first program. So you don't necessarily have to print hello world. You can also print like something like hello YouTube, run, and it will work fine here as well. It should print hello world. Okay. And you can also output multiple times. You don't necessarily have to output one time. So as long as the code is within this main function, as long as your code is encapsulated within this main function, you can do whatever you want. The sky's the limit. Okay, so I can just, let's say hello, I'm Ben. I'm back with another video. So now if I were to run it, it should print these 3 strings. Okay, these 3 texts. Hello YouTube, hello I'm Ben, hello I'm back with another video. Very simple. Now notice that everything is concatenated onto one line. Every single text, right, is all on one line. So what I can do, right, is I can tell C++ that, hey, I want this text to actually go on to the next line. And the function to do that, there's actually a function in IOStream to do that. Okay, and this function is called std end line. So this stands for n, and the L at the end stands for L end line. So this whole thing is actually pronounced as end line. Yeah, so if I were to run it, notice how it adds an end line after hello YouTube, and I also need to add another end line after this particular output. So I'll just add it here. Cool. So obviously, just to make it a bit look, okay, so just to make it a bit more organized, I'll just add an end line at the back here as well, so that every single output that we have will end with an end line. Yeah. Okay. So as you can see, we can add an end line to make our output look much nicer. Now, a quick exercise for you. I want you to actually get rid of all the code in here. Okay, just get rid of this. and try to output 3 of your favorite fruits each on a new line. So give it a go. Okay, shouldn't take you more than 2 minutes. So I assume that you would have completed the challenge. And do you actually find typing standard double colon very irritating? So let me just go back to Replit. So do you notice that typing this is actually mildly irritating because we have to keep typing this, right? This STD standard. So there's actually a quick hack to get rid of it. So we can actually use this syntax. So we can just simply type using namespace std. And if I were to run it, nothing will change. Okay, nothing will change. The output should still be the same as before, but now what I can do is I can get rid of the standard and the double colons from every single cout and end line. Boom, it still works fine. But if I don't include the namespace std, the code wouldn't run at all. Okay, there'll be a compilation error. Yeah, so if you don't want to write std, make sure you include this namespace. But of course, if you include this namespace and you want to continue using this standard, it's also perfectly fine as well. The code will still run as usual. Yeah.